as well as present on Zoom or virtual.
We can no longer hear on, okay.
I think she got disconnected. Judge, we can't hear you.
She's logging back in.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
All right, I apologize for that little hiccup, ladies and gentlemen. As I was saying, my name is Judge Lal, and we are doing the Orca State Court misdemeanor calendar. As I was saying, if you are a defendant who is present virtually or in the courtroom, please remember that you have a right to remain silent about the facts of the case. Any statements you make about the facts, the alleged facts, the underlying circumstances, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, the public defender's office may be appointed to represent you, or you can choose to hire your own attorney, or you can waive your right to counsel, understanding that you're responsible for the impact of any legal decision that you make. Speaking of waiver of counsel, Mr. Carroll, if you could please walk up. Oh, Ms. Carroll? Oh, not Ms. Carroll, excuse me. Isn't it? Did I put it on the wrong paperwork?
Did you want it from Mr. White?
Mr. White, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's Carol.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Mr. White. Mr. White, we're gonna hand you a piece of document. Just walk around that way. As soon as I correct it, so I wrote down the wrong information. Okay, thank you. It's supposed to be from Mr. White. All right. Okay.
Your Honor, this is ASG Githia. Could Mr. White also get a copy of the license revocation form as well?
The license revocation form? What form is that?
For the DUI? Is this Anthony White that we're speaking about?
Yeah, are we talking about the first offender affidavit?
The for license suspension. I'm sorry, for license suspension. The form.
I don't know what you're referring to.
I can forward that to Ms. Redden if she could
Okay.
provide that a copy to him if she doesn't mind.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, on my status calendar, I have State versus Michael Banks. I believe Mr. Coxon is back here, and Michael Banks is present on Zoom. I see him there. Okay. And Mr. Banks, we will be addressing a plea shortly. Let me just go through my calendar call.
That's right, Judge. I'd like to Ken, we were trying to find a way that I could potentially speak with the ASG on that case. I don't know if she's appearing virtually.
She is appearing virtually. Ms. Falk, are you the ASG in this case?
I am not, Your Honor.
Okay, who's the ASG for Michael Banks?
I believe it's Miss Marshall Storage.
That's my.
I will be handling that plea today, Your Honor.
All right, it's gonna be Miss Githia. She's up there virtually. And if you want to write down your phone number, we'll be able to put in the chat to her and she can call you. Will that work? Okay. Jerry Lockhart,
My case, well, Judge, I'll be a negotiated plea this morning.
all right. We have the paperwork?
Yes,
Okay, excellent, thank you. Latoya Winslow?
I believe defense counsel filed a conflict.
yes, here.
All right, Ms. Winslow, who's your attorney? David Ghazi?
Yes.
All right, I did see something, but I didn't know whether it was for this case or another case. Did Mr. Ghazi file a conflict as well?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, it was filed yesterday, okay.
They'll give it to you. That one right there in the center. Try to get it.
Here we go. How old is this case? All right, Ms. Winslow, please hold. I gotta see when I can reset your case. Do not leave.
Okay.
All right, on the final plea calendar, I have Ali Baluri. All right, Mr. Baluri, who's your attorney?
I don't have one.
All right, and you have some documents. How are you moving forward?
Pleading guilty to the charge of willing to pay for the fine.
Is he entering a plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does he have-
Provided him with plea paperwork, the waiver of counsel. He's filling that out now.
All right, thank you. Let me know when your paperwork's filled out. Dakota Carroll's present. Andrew Johnson? Andrew Johnson, all right.
Michael Smith here for Andrew Johnson.
Yes, sir. Are we doing a final plea?
We are, Your Honor.
Plea paperwork's ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Have our documentation.
All right, all right, sir. We'll address you very shortly. Ulysses Martinez Mora? Ulysses Alejandro? Okay, yes, sir. Do you have an attorney? Speak up. All right,
Plea paperwork has been filled out along with waiver of counsel.
Okay.
We're ready to go forward.
thank you. All right, Mr. Alejandro, we'll take up your plea in a moment. Theoria Rogers? Yes, Ms. Rogers?
Can we approach on that case?
All right, Ms. Falk and.
This is not my case, Your Honor. Oh,
Wait. I did, since she was here, I did talk to her. She does not qualify, but 4 year probation in Drake County. Got 4 lives.
Ms. Githia, is this your case?
Just who's he talking to?
Just hang on, folks.
She doesn't qualify, but she's got 4 years of probation. County shopper.
What's the, what was she here for?
There's the loss of property.
Okay, and what's the state's offer?
since I'm not the one that has space on it. We only face her mother, so we can ask for her.
How long she had left? 4 years now. Okay.
So the one case. Just learning about this now.
Okay,
Find out.
yeah, it's from May 2021. Find out also what's
She
the.
is pro se.
Attorney for the ASG.
All right, let's find out what the offer is and also find out what the date of offense for the felony case. Yes.
This is Ms. Rogers' case, Ms. Githia.
Okay, Theoria Renee Rogers is present. Ms. Rogers, we're going to find out from the prosecutor what is the recommended offer they're going to make in your case. And then we will communicate that to you and you can decide how you want to proceed. All right, please have a seat. Asil Salas.
Yes, Your Honor, Laura Glasgow, my client is here. That will be a negotiated fee and all the paperwork is filled out, ready to go.
Excellent, thank you. And Anthony White is ready, and we're going to hand you the paperwork to fill out also. Thank you. This must be my lucky day. I should buy a lottery ticket today. All right. Mr. Coxon, you need to talk to Ms. Gipier, right?
Yes, ma'am, if I can.
All right. Mr. Roth, let's go ahead and address your client, and that was Mr. Dakota Carroll.
Yes, he's ready.
All right,
He's got the paperwork.
paperwork's all done?
Okay.
I've got it. Can you both come to the podium? Who's the prosecutor for Dakota Carroll?
ASG Riley, good morning.
All right, this is State versus Dakota Matthew Carroll, 22 CR 006-267J. Mr. Carroll was originally cited and accused of DUI, driving under the influence of alcohol less safe, and speeding from a May 23rd, 2021 incident. Mr. Carroll, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Michael Ruffle, excuse me. May I place you under oath for just the purposes of the plea? The other right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Riley, what's the plea recommendation for Mr. Carroll?
For count one, it is 12 months to serve, 24 hours. Credit for time served, 24 hours. The balance on probation, a $400 fine, 40 hours of community service, an alcohol and drug evaluation, any treatment that is recommended, risk reduction, and to attend one victim impact panel. Count two will be null prost.
All right. Mr. Roffoff, has your client agreed to these terms?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for the DUI charge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Carroll, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with the attorney's services?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take a plea today?
No, Your Honor.
And have you gone over the waiver of rights with your attorney? And has it been explained to you that if you plead guilty today, you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial before a judge or a jury?
Yes.
Be able to have the assistance of counsel so that you could challenge the state's evidence, present your own defenses if you choose to do so, examine the witnesses who may be presented, as well as confront your accuser.
Yes, Your Honor.
You would also have to give up the right to have the state carry its burden of proof or beyond a reasonable doubt to prove its case against you. Are you prepared to give up that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to one count of driving under the influence of alcohol less safe?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 1 day, credit for time served 1 day. You don't have any additional jail time, but you will be placed on probation. Today is Wednesday. I'll need you to report to, do we have probation? Okay, I need you to report to the probation office next Tuesday before 3 p.m. I think that's February 14th. Easy day to remember, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So make sure you report to the office before 3 p.m. The location is 132 Mitchell Street in Atlanta, Georgia. All right. Once you are there, they will set up your probation case, and the items that you have to complete while on probation are a payment of $400 fine, complete 40 hours of voluntary community service at any nonprofit agency, go to a qualified healthcare provider to do an alcohol and drug evaluation, and submit yourself to any treatment if required. You would also have to attend one risk reduction program and attend one victim impact panel. If you complete all these conditions, then after completing all the conditions, your probation may go non-reporting, which means you're still on probation, but you don't have to continue reporting.
Okay.
But while you are waiting to complete all these items, you will have to keep reporting to probation and pay probation fees every month. In accordance with the state's offer, the speeding charge is not going to be prosecuted. Do you have any questions?
You know, he's still eligible for a temporary permit, so he would
Yeah.
like to get a copy of his.
All right, Ms. Redden will have to fill out the first offender affidavit, and then he can take that to DDS and get a limited driving permit during the duration of his probation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
When you.
Ms. Glass, was it? Is it Ms. Glass?
Leave the paperwork.
Attorney? Glass.
Glass, yes, yes.
Yes, Your
You said you're ready?
Yeah,
All right.
sit right there and fill
Proceed.
it out. Okay. Your Honor, I would ask to be excused. I'll leave my phone number. I have another matter to attend to. I'll leave my phone number
In case, yes.
if somebody, but I shouldn't have any.
All right. And could you also please advise Ms. Jones why you're leaving as well? All right, thank you. All right, this is the plea. Who has the paperwork? Oh. Salas. Yeah. This is position 6 on the final plea calendar, State versus CL Salas, originally accused of racing, reckless driving, and a exhaust system violation. This is 22 CR 007251. Mr. Salas, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Glass-Hess. This is going to be a negotiated plea, so for purposes of the plea, may I place you under oath?
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Falk, what is the plea recommendation, please?
Your Honor, the recommendation is on the racing. We are merging that with the reckless driving, and the recommendation is going to be only as to the exhaust and the reckless driving charges.
All right,
And that recommendation is as follows. That's something like, right? That is going to be on count 1, 12 months probation. On count 2, the racing will merge into count 3. On count 3, reckless driving, 12 months probation, a $500 fine concurrent to count 1. We are agreeable to suspending the probation after 6 months.
all right. Ms. Glass, does your client agree to these terms? You would have to report to probation for at least 6 months.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Salas, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take a plea today?
No, Your Honor.
If you decide to plead guilty to the 2 counts of exhaust system violation and reckless driving, you would have to give up your right to go back to court and have a trial before a judge or a jury. You will not be able to have the assistance of counsel to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the state's evidence, present any defenses if you have any to present, as well as have the state try to prove the original charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you entering a plea freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to the exhaust system violation and reckless driving?
Guilty.
You'll be on 12 months probation for both the charges. On count 3, it's going to be an additional condition of paying a $500 fine plus court costs. And you have the 12 months while you're on probation to pay that fine. But if you do so before the 6 months, then the rest of the 6 months will be suspended. However, if you take longer than 6 months, then you'll need to continue reporting to probation as long as the fine is still unpaid.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Glass? Yes?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm sorry about probation. Is he able to do that virtually or will he have to?
Yes, no, thank you for reminding me. You have to report to probation next Tuesday before 3 p.m. at 132 Mitchell Street in Atlanta, Georgia. The address is 132 Mitchell Street in Atlanta, Georgia. And he'll have to report before 3 p.m. Probation should have all this information and they will create a file and get him going.
Thank you, Your
Right.
Honor.
So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. This is right here. Okay, yeah.
Mr. Coxon, you still talking?
I never was able to get a number.
Oh, did you give us your number?
I was under the impression she was gonna give her number.
No, you give us your number. We'll put it in the chat to her and she'll call you.
No problem, I apologize.
Sorry.
Your Honor, is this on Mr. Lockhart for Mr. Cox?
Mr. Attorney Stephen Coxon wants to speak to you
Not Mr. Banks.
about Mr. Banks.
Yeah, I'll be handling that, Your Honor.
All right, so we're sending you his number and you can call him.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, first to give it to the clerk, Your Honor.
Yes. And I know I have another attorney ready with a plea.
Your Honor, we have the pro se defendant, Mr. Mora, ready on his case.
Okay, Mr. Martinez Mora? Is that who you're referring to?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Coxon, I'm going to hold until you are ready with your two cases. Do I have any other private attorneys in the courtroom? All right, yes, sir, let's go ahead with your case. And that was Mr. Smith, right? And this is Andrew Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Smith, do you have the plea paperwork for Andrew Johnson?
We do, Your Honor.
Ms. Redden, did we give Mr. White the waiver of counsel document? I did. Okay, thank you. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. All right, this is position 3 on our final plea calendar, State versus Andrew Johnson, present in the courtroom with his attorney, Mr. Mike Smith. Mr. Johnson was originally accused of reckless conduct and dog at large in accusation number 21 CR 000484F. This is from an August 15, 2020 incident. Based on the negotiations with the prosecutor, this is going to be a plea hearing. Mr. Johnson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Smith. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the information you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Paul, is it Ms. Paul? No, Ms.
No, it's Miss Riley.
Ms.
ASG.
Riley, yes. And what is the plea recommendation?
For the reckless conduct, it is 12 months probation, a $750 fine, and to complete an animalcourts.com online course, which has been completed. Restitution to Candace Cooper in the amount of $908.
All right, and you're gonna null cross the dog at large.
Yes, Your Honor, at the completion of the plea.
Okay. Mr. Smith, does your client agree to these terms?
Yes, Your Honor. Just to clarify, our understanding was that if we, and forgive me, I am a civil attorney. This is,
I'm sorry.
forgive me, I'm a civil attorney, so this is not normally my arena, but my understanding was that once we completed the animal law course and then also paid the fine for restitution and for the paid restitution and the fine, which is like $750 and $908, that the probation would just kind of, that would be we wouldn't necessarily have to do probation.
You're asking me what would he do, whether he needs to be on probation?
Well, I just want to clarify that that was our
Okay.
understanding.
So-
that once those things were completed, we've already completed the animal law course and we're prepared to pay the fines and restitution today, that there would be basically no need for probation.
All right. Miss Riley, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I'm reading on the plea sheet, he will be reporting to probation. He will be placed on probation. While he's on probation, he needs to pay the $750 fine or do 75 hours community service. And I'm gonna go back to that. Complete a course, animalcourts.com online course. Has that been done?
That's all been, what I'm telling you is like, all that's
understand, I
done.
understand.
So, yeah,
Okay. Is he paying the fine or is he doing community service?
we're paying the fine and the
Okay.
restitution.
I'm going to cross out community service then. So he has to pay a $750 fine plus whatever court costs involved. He has completed the online course. And he has to pay a restitution of $908 to Candace Cooper. All right. When does he plan to pay the $908?
Today, we have a check.
And I don't have probation here to Miss Falk, is your office ready to accept the check to remit that to the victim?
Your Honor, that would be done through the clerk's office. They would have to submit that payment to the clerk's office.
The clerk's office doesn't take restitution, only fines. Because we put them on probation. This is what I'm going to do. Because I don't want any uncertainty about this.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a bit trivial, but you are going to be on probation. I'm going to waive your probation fees for the month of February. All right? You're going to report to probation next week, and you're going to hand them the check for $900, and they're responsible for making sure that the funds get remitted to the victim. Is that satisfactory?
And that would be the end of his,
Then his probation will terminate.
I guess that's all we can do.
Yes, because unless the prosecutor or victim advocates will take the money.
We will not. So
All
my
right.
recommendation is that they just pay directly and then it be suspended at that point.
All right. Does he have a no contact with, well, that's the only way we can monitor the payment.
I mean, I guess the frustration for my client here is that our understanding was that there was no, and I'm not laying this on anybody's, is that we got our ducks in a row to get this done today. And so, I mean, and his preference is just to be done with all this today. And we're prepared, we came prepared, checked, got the course done, all that stuff. So we could just end this. And my sense is that his reservation, his preferences, that's not the deal that was.
So,
presented.
Mr. Smith, explain to me, how do I monitor that restitution is completed?
I mean, you could continue it.
Give me a solution.
Yeah, the solution I would say is you continue it, you'll write a check and we'll show up with a receipt that we paid it to the appropriate party. Because it seems that the people here today
The
aren't.
only thing I can do then is authorize him to give you the check and then you file proof of delivery
I'll do
to the
that.
victim.
I'm perfectly fine with doing that.
Yeah, there we go.
Right.
All right, Ms. Riley, I'm authorizing that Mr. Smith's Mr. Johnson's attorney is charged with the responsibility of making sure the restitution is delivered to Candace Cooper, certified mail, return receipt, and that he will then deliver proof of delivery to the prosecution office, and you make it to the attention of Ms. Denise Riley.
And I'll file that into the case as well.
Sorry?
I can file proof of service into the case as well, electronically, but.
Yes,
I'm
please.
sorry, sir, I
Thank
can't
you.
understand.
That I'll file proof of service into the case as well.
Into the case as well. Perfect. All right. That gives me a solution on how to monitor that. All right. So in light of that, are you stipulating to the factual basis, venue and ID for the reckless conduct charge?
We are, Your Honor.
All right. So Mr. Johnson, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And you're unable to understand the proceedings so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Oh, absolutely, Your Honor.
And if you go ahead and want to plead guilty to this particular charge today, is it guilty or nolo contendere?
No.
Ms. Riley, was that your understanding?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. If you're deciding to plead no contest to this charge of reckless conduct, you would have to give up your constitutional right to go back to court, have a trial before a judge or a jury, be able to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the state's evidence, and have the prosecution try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to one count of reckless conduct?
Your Honor.
Your sentence is a $750 fine. Complete oneanimalcourts.com online course and pay restitution of $908 to Candace Cooper for medical expenses. The fine must be paid by today. And that can be paid to the court treasury. And we'll give you paperwork to send to the treasury, to go to the treasury. So they have the paperwork in line, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Riley, are you satisfied that the coursework has been completed?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm in receipt of the certificate.
All right, so that's done. And the restitution of $908 will be delivered to Candace Cooper by defense counsel, Mr. Mike Smith, by certified mail return receipt, and he will file proof of delivery with the court as well as send an email to Ms. Denise Riley. And
I'm sorry, Your Honor, is there a date certain that is to be done?
how about by Monday?
We can do it by Monday, and if the state would provide me with an address for Ms. Cooper to send it to you, that would be appreciated.
Okay. Ms. Redden, can you write down Ms. Riley's? It's just like her name, denise.riley@fultoncountyga.gov.
I have her email. We're
You've communicated. Okay. Any other questions, sir?
no, Your Honor.
All right, that concludes this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Are there any other private attorneys who I have to address in the courtroom? Any other private attorneys on Zoom? All right, you were saying you were ready with whom, Ms.
We're already on position 1, Ulysses Martinez Mora, and position 4, excuse me, and position 1, Ali Valori.
The police are all here, Ms. Redden? One, I kept all. Signed, unsigned.
Okay.
Okay. And position 1 is Ali Valori, excuse me. Mr. Valori, all the way around to the podium, please. This is State versus Ali Valori, position number 22 CR 007135. Mr. Valori was accused of lane drag, driving in circular and zigzag course on July 19, 2019. Mr. Valori, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and you have chosen to waive your right to counsel and represent yourself. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And you've read through the document with regards to waiver of right of counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you understand that if you make any legal decision, including the decision to take a plea today, that you would be responsible or how that decision may impact any open cases you may have upon any professional licenses you may have on your residency, if that's applicable, or any other facet of your life.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Valori, may I place you under oath for purposes of this plea? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Ms. Falk, what's the plea recommendation for the lane drag charge?
State's recommendation is 12 months suspended upon a payment of a $500 fine in Stanter.
All right. Mr. Valori, are you able to pay the fine today?
Yes, Your Honor, but when I attended court in 2019 for the case, I spoke to the prosecutor back then. She advised me to go and get a defensive driving class, and maybe that would help reduce the fine. So I ended up paying about 150 to 175 for the defense driving class, and I was wondering if I can get that off the $500.
Let me ask you this. When you spoke to the prosecutor and that decision was made, did y'all then decide to enter into a plea?
No, she told me to go and get the
That
driving
agreement
class.
has fizzled out. But I'll ask Ms. Falk, how much did you pay for the course?
I think it was 175
Do
after.
you have a receipt?
I believe I do. It's in my email, not a.
Let's see it. And Ms. Falk, if he shows proof that he paid for a defensive driving class, is the state amenable to reducing the fine by the cost that he incurred?
The state is willing to do that
Okay,
if he is able to show proof and it's subsequent to the offense.
It was actually $95, Your Honor, but I do have the email right here.
All right, just show it to Ms. Falk. If she's happy with it, we'll reduce your fine to 405.
The state will accept
Okay,
this and we'll round it up to an even.
all right. Mr. Baluri, are you able to pay the $400 fine today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So in order for me to move forward with the plea hearing, you would have to stipulate or agree that the factual basis upon which the state is relying for this case, the identity of the defendant, that is you, and the venue of this incident in Fulton County are all true and correct.
Yes, Your
You still
Honor.
agree?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Okay. Have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And you've read through all the paperwork
Yes, Your Honor.
and you have filled out the paperwork, understanding the material, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And is anyone forcing you to take this plea offer today?
No, Your Honor.
And you understand that if you want to take this plea offer today, that you will not have an opportunity to go back to court and have a trial or challenge this charge?
Yes, Your Honor.
You will not be able to confront your accuser, challenge the state's evidence, or examine witnesses that may be presented against you in this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to one count of laying drag?
Guilty.
Your sentence is a $400 fine payable today before 5 p.m., February 8, 2023.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, please have a seat. We'll give you the paperwork so that you can take it to the treasury and pay the fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, Anthony Denard White. Mr. Martinez Mora, you're next, all right?
Because I have no way, there's a key that I can know what it is. So they have to be 12 month probation. And then you can say- Okay.
Miss Redden,
Yeah.
we have a Orca calendar this Friday.
Yeah.
I want to see if I can move position 3 in the final plea calendar to Friday morning. Okay. There's nothing this Friday?
Looking for a final plea date.
Mhm. Or even, what's that Thursday date?
What is that? You're looking for what day?
That date, Thursday, 20.
The 23rd.
Mhm.
Those are civil jury trials, non-jury, well, bench trials.
Oh, there's online, yeah.
There's a March, but nothing in February.
Okay,
I apologize.
that's okay. No, that's perfectly fine. Miss Winslow?
Yes, I'm
Maria
here.
Winslow, yeah. Please unmute, yeah. All right, Miss Winslow, I am looking at your case history, and this case has been
Mhm.
reset quite a few times. August
Yes.
24th to October 12th to November 9th to January 11th, and now February 8th. When is your attorney going to be
Yes.
available?
I don't know. I've been asking the same thing. I don't know.
All right.
He told me that he has a murder trial that that's precedence.
This is a final reset to, what was it, March 3rd? Yes, Judge. This is a final reset to March 3rd at 9 a.m. And I need you to show up in court in person with your attorney, with the plea paperwork. No Zoom,
Okay,
no more resets.
okay.
If he cannot make it, get another attorney. Understood?
I don't know if I can afford to get another attorney, but I'll relay the message.
All right, see you March 3rd in person with your attorney. Your attorney also has to be in person. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Mr. Anthony White's case is 22 CR 006-291Y. Mr. White was originally accused of DUI, driving under the influence of alcohol less safe, and an improper right turn. Mr. White, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and you have filled out the paperwork with regards to the waiver of right of counsel. Have you understood the document outlining the consequences
Yes, ma'am.
of representing yourself?
Yes.
All right. Mr. White, for purposes of this hearing, may I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear the information you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. All right, is it Ms. Githia?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is the state's recommendation?
The recommendation is for count 1, 12 months to serve 24 hours, credit for time served 24 hours, the balance probated, a $300 fine, 40 hours of community service, alcohol drug evaluation and any required treatment, and a risk reduction program, and count 2 will be null pros. All right. Would you like me to read the factual basis?
No, this is a negotiated plea, so I don't think I need to. All right. Mr. White, do you understand the terms of the sentence that was recommended by the state?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
All right. And do you stipulate or agree that the factual basis for the charge of DUI, that the identity of the perpetrator, that is you, and that the venue of the incident, Fulton County, are all true and correct?
Yes, I do.
Have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, I haven't.
And when you're reading these documents to fill out, was there anything you did not understand?
One thing, Your Honor, I was thinking of something about a driving permit with a certificate of first offense or something of that nature because I have to go to work.
All right.
I have kids to go to school.
Is this his first DUI?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're going to grant that. All right, got Ms. Redden's already way ahead of us, so she's already got the documents filled out. Thank you. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
All right. And Mr. White, has anyone forced you to or induced you to take this plea recommendation?
No.
Are you doing so freely, willingly, and voluntarily?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that by doing so, that you will not have an opportunity for trial in this case. There will be no court or no further court proceedings. You will not be able to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the state's evidence, or have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to waive these rights?
Yes, I am.
How do you plead to one count of DUI?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 24 hours, credit for time served 24 hours. You will report to probation next Tuesday at 132 Mitchell Street, which is going to be in downtown Atlanta. You have to report there before 3 p.m. While you're on probation, you will pay a $300 fine plus court costs. Complete 40 hours of community service through any nonprofit agency. Make sure that the agency gives you a letter on its with its letterhead there,
Yes.
saying that you've completed at least 40 hours, and you must hand that over to your probation office. All right.
Cool.
You also need to go to a qualified healthcare provider and undertake a alcohol and drug evaluation and submit yourself to any treatment or counseling that's required by the evaluator.
Tell me, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Will the probation officer be able to lead me in the direction?
They will give you a list of qualified healthcare providers. They also give you a list of schools where you can take the risk reduction program. And then that's it. Once you have completed all these items, then I will put your probation on non-reporting status. But these conditions must be completed before you go non-reporting. All right? And if you wait, we'll give you the document, no, for the first offender. And then don't forget to report to probation next Tuesday before 3 p.m. Okay? Do you need the address again?
I'm not 132 Mitchell Street.
You what?
132 Mitchell.
132 Mitchell Street. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, well, I guess you already had that waiver of counsel. You already had that waiver of counsel then. Yep.
Thank you.
And this is the DDS paper. And this is something else that, this is nothing for DDS. This is from Mr. Carroll. Right, that's the total file. All right, Jerry Law, excuse me, who was next after Mr. White? Oh, Mr. Martinez Mora, right? Okay. And Mr. Lockhart, is he on Zoom? Or-
He's present, Judge, and we're filling out the paperwork.
Oh, that's right, with Mr. Cox and Mr. Banks, okay. All right, this is State versus Ulysses Alejandro Martinez Mora, originally accused of driving without a valid license, laying drag, and reckless driving. Mr. Martinez Mora, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and you have chosen to represent yourself. Have you gone through the document with regards to a waiver of counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
And have you understood the consequences of representing yourself?
Yes, Your Honor.
This is case 22 CR 007221. And Mr. Martinez Mora, may I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Falk, what's the state's recommendation?
State's recommendation is to driving without a license is 12 months probation, laying drag, a $500 fine. Reckless driving will merge with count 2, and we are dismissing the expired tag.
Okay. Mr. Martinez Mora, did you understand the recommended sentence?
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right, and you understand that you'll be, well, it will be a total of a $500 fine, excuse me, $1,000 fine plus court costs. Would you be paying that today?
Yeah.
All right, so there's no probation involved.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. And do you agree that the factual basis for the driving without a valid license and laying drag, that the identity of the defendant, that is you, and that the location of the offense, Fulton County, Georgia, are all true and correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Martinez Mora, I'm so sorry. Have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And have you, has anyone forced you, induced you to take this plea?
No, Your Honor.
Are you doing so freely, willingly, and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
And has it been, you've read through the documents, so do you understand that once you take this plea, this closes the case out? And that you will never have an opportunity to have this case tried in a court of law?
Yes, Your Honor.
You will not confront your accuser, challenge the state's evidence, present your own defenses if you choose to do so, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to waive these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to one count of driving without a license and one count of laying drag?
Guilty.
Your sentence is $500 fine on each count, and the reckless driving merges into the laying drag, and the expired tag is dismissed. Or is it not crossed?
Yes.
Okay. All right, sir, if you please remain in the courtroom, we'll give you the paperwork so that you can go to the treasury today and pay the fine. Thank you. Other than Michael Banks, is there anyone else on this Zoom whom I've not addressed? Okay. Is there anyone else in the courtroom whom I've not addressed?
Is here, we're ready on both Mr. Lockhart and Mr. Banks, Judge.
And
Pleasure.
which one's Mr. Lockhart?
Lockhart is the back.
The one all the way in the back. Yeah, I've addressed you. You can come forward, sir. The gentleman in the blue jacket, are you, oh, you're with him, okay. And
then Miss Theoria Rogers is here.
yeah, we'll take that up as soon as we're done with the.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, we're gonna begin with, and are we ready also on Mr. Banks?
Mr. Banks and Mr. Lockhart, we're both ready, so at the court's pleasure,
Okay.
whichever you prefer to take first.
I'll take Mr. Lockhart first. So this is State versus Jerry Lockhart, case number 22 CR 007-193. Mr. Jerry Lockhart is present in the courtroom with his attorney, Mr. Stephen Cox. And Mr. Lockhart, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Stephen Cox. I'm so sorry. The lights are really bright, so I'm trying to figure out, look at this, and my glasses are not even helping. What were the original charges in this case?
Racing, Your Honor.
Just racing?
Yes, ma'am.
Just what, and it's been reduced to reckless driving.
Correct.
Okay, so I read that right. Okay. So, Mr. Lockhart, may I place you under oath for just the purposes of the plea? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Falk,
Yes,
what
Your
is the recommendation?
Recommendation is reduced to reckless, 12 months probation, a $500 fine, suspend after 6 months probation.
Okay, so there's a mandatory 6-month probation as part of the sentence. Okay, and Mr. Carson, does your client agree to these terms?
He does, Your Honor.
And do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
I do, Your Honor.
Right. Mr. Lockhart, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Absolutely.
And has it been explained to you the waiver of rights if you decide to move forward with this plea?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand that you will not have a trial, you won't be able to confront your accuser, challenge the evidence brought against you, challenge the witnesses who may testify against you, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of reckless driving?
No conflict.
I'll accept your plea. Your sentence is 12 months probation to pay a $500 fine, and you will report to probation for the first 6 months, after which it will be suspended. All right? Your probation office is at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. You report there next Tuesday before 3 p.m.
All right.
Have you filled out the probation information paperwork? No? Ms. Redden's going to hand that to you for Mr. Lockhart to complete.
He just provides that to probation when he reports, I assume, Judge? Oh,
No. We'll need it back so that we can send it to probation so that when he does report, things are ready to go.
understood, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you. Mr. Michael Banks, if you could please start your video and unmute your screen. This is State versus Michael. Ready, Mr. Carlson? Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is State versus Michael Banks, case number 22 CR 007130. In this particular case, Mr. Michael Banks is appearing virtually. His attorney, Mr. Stephen Coxon, is in the courtroom. Mr. Banks, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. And in this particular case, he was originally accused of reckless driving, laying drag, in possession of an open alcohol container from a November 26, 2020 incident. Mr. Banks, may I place you under oath for purposes of the plea? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Falk,
Yes, Your Honor.
what's the plea recommendation?
Count one, the reckless will merge into count two, the lane drag. Count two will be 12 months probation, terminated upon payment of a $500 fine. Count three, the opening container will be a $200 fine.
All right, and Mr. Coxon, are those the terms to which your client has agreed?
They are, Your Honor.
And is probation required?
It is because of financial circumstances, Judge.
No problem. Mr. Banks, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, I haven't.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you understood that if you decide to plead no contest to the laying drag and the open container charges, that you would have to give up your right to a trial, to come back to court with your attorney so that you can challenge the state's evidence, examine witnesses, confront your accuser, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt? Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea?
No, Your Honor.
How do you plead to one count of reckless drive, one count of laying drag and one count of open container?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Is that
I think we had discussed no low or no contest, Mr. Banks. Do you recall that?
Excuse me, no contest.
on the laying drag, your sentence is a $500 fine plus court costs. On the open container, your fine is a $200 fine plus court costs. You will be on 12 months probation to pay these fines in addition to the court costs. And any objection, your probation will terminate upon all payments being made in full. You will report to probation next Tuesday at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. As you are appearing virtually, your attorney is going to have to fill out the probation form. And be sure to report there before 3 p.m. Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You're free to go. Mr. Coxon, once you fill out that form for Mr. Banks, you're free to go too, sir. Thank you. All right. Miss Kiara Jones, Kiara Rogers, excuse me. This is case 22 CR 006327F. State versus Theoria Renee Rogers. Ms. Rogers, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you can't afford one, you could be given appointed counsel. Unfortunately, Mr. Rafaf has informed us that you do not qualify for the services of the Public Defender's Office. So you do have a right to hire your own attorney, or you can choose to represent yourself. But if you choose to represent yourself, then you have to understand that any legal decision you make will be based upon your knowledge of the law and how it may impact your personal circumstances. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Miss Falk, do we have a plea offer for Miss Rogers?
Oh,
This was my case, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Ms.
Yeah.
Capiella.
Yes,
Do you have a plea offer for Ms. Rogers?
yes, it is. Yes, I do, Your Honor. It's 12 months probation, a theft prevention class, and the balance can be suspended upon completion of the condition.
All right.
And Your Honor, you did ask me to inquire about the Henry County case, which is why I was standing. It does show that in 2016, I believe she entered a plea to a 10-serve-1 on 2 counts of theft by shoplifting. So this offense occurred after she was placed on that probation.
All right. So Ms. Rogers, we are aware that you still have an outstanding probation matter in Henry County. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So what the prosecutor is offering is that only if you want to plead guilty or no contest to this theft of lost or mislaid property, this offense that occurred on May 16, 2021, that they're willing to recommend that you be placed on probation, that you complete one anti-theft by shoplifting class. And if you complete the class, your probation's terminated.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that something you'd like to consider?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. We're going to provide you with the paperwork where you would have to review it and answer the questions in there, including your right about waiver of counsel. And then once you've completed the paperwork, we'll have a plea hearing, just as the ones you've just observed in the courtroom.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that something you'd like to do?
Yes, Your Honor.
I do know you're concerned about the fact that you already have probation in Henry County, but this probation in Fulton County, the sooner you're done with the class, the sooner probation terminates. I will waive your probation fees for the months of February and March.
Yes.
Do you
Your Honor.
believe you can complete the class by the end of March?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, because if not, then you have to start paying probation fees in April. So you need to let me know if that's realistically possible.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So let's wait until we get the documents from Ms. Giffier. We'll print them and give it to you to fill them out in court.
Yes,
All
Your
right,
Honor.
please have a seat. Thank you.
I'll have them momentarily.
Thank you, Ms. Giffier.
You're welcome.
All right. Just to go over the calendar, on the status calendar, Jerry Lockhart was a plea. Latoya Winslow is reset to March 2nd. If that's a Friday, it's March 2nd at 9 a.m. This is a final reset for a plea. Excuse me, it's March 3rd. I'm sorry, Ms. Redden?
It's March 3rd.
March 3rd, okay. It's March 3rd at 9 a.m. and they have to appear in person. And the Michael Banks case was a plea. That was the add-on from yesterday. On the final plea calendar, position number 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7 are all pleas. Position number 5 is a pending plea, once she's completed the documents. All right, so we'll be in recess until we address Ms. Rogers' case. Do we have any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
The plea paperwork was just emailed to Ms. Redden, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Githia, we are ready to proceed with State versus Theoria Rogers.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is 22 CR 0063227F, in which Ms. Rogers was accused of theft of lost or mislaid property. And Ms. Rogers, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and you've decided to proceed representing yourself. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you've read through the document with regards to waiver of right to counsel?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything in that document that you do not understand?
No, ma'am.
All right, you understand that that the decisions you make regarding your case, that you are responsible based on your own knowledge and research and how that may apply to any other cases you may have or your current personal situation.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Rogers, may I place you under oath for purposes of this plea? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And Ms. Githia, what's the state's recommendation for this particular charge?
The state recommendation is 12 months probation, a theft prevention class. And as Ms. Rogers has completed that theft prevention class, subsequent to this offense, the sentence will be suspended.
All right. Ms. Rogers, do you agree that the factual basis, the identity of the defendant, that is you, and the location of the offense in Fulton County are all true and correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, no, Your Honor.
Right. And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea today?
No, Your Honor.
And do you understand that if you decide to plead guilty to this charge, that you would have to give up your constitutional right to go back to court and have a trial, to be able to confront your accuser, challenge the state's evidence, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
And taking this plea today would close your case out and that there won't be any right to an appeal.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you entering this plea freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how do you plead to one count of theft of lost or mislaid property?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months probation, which is suspended. So there is no probation
Yes, Your Honor.
because you have already completed the theft prevention class.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. You're free to go.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everyone, court's adjourned. Thank you very much. And I guess I'll see you sometime soon. Okay. Take care.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.